I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to get your question answered on a future episode of We're From The Internet? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/question, tweet your questions at KevinSteve, email kevinsteve@gmail.com, or post them at facebook.com/KevinSteve, or even leave them in the comments for this episode.
What wouldn't you do for £1 million?
Absolutely nothing, maybe. Not sure.
You wouldn't do anything for £1 million?
No, I wouldn't. I mean the opposite. I'd pretty much do anything. As long as I wasn't going to end up dead or in jail, then I'm pretty sure I'm game for anything. It was my dad I was talking to this about recently on the way back from the football the other day. I was trying to explain the premise of Badger Looking Live to him.
Yeah.
Because we saw a dead fox at the side of the road.
We really do need to do this programme. For those of you who are listening and aren't me and Kev, that our idea was that we had a conversation of how much money would it take for you to lick a dead badger lying on the side of the road. And we went back and forth. And basically we decided that a TV show could be made out of that, where you just have an audience full of students and people who need money. And you can just have some awful task that's not illegal or anything, but like licking a dead badger. And then you can just count down money and see how far you go.
Reverse auction.
Yeah, so we'll basically count down from 10 grand or whatever.
Well, no, let's do this properly. We'll take it to Sky and we'll start at $1 million.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then, but you have 50 contestants or whatever. You have however many you have on Take Me Out. You have a whole line of people like that.
And just count themselves out when it's too far. But if they're the last man standing, then they will get the amount. But obviously, if it drops below, exactly, they have to do it. So they've obviously got to back out at their point. But if someone's quite happy to just go over £100 and doesn't really see it as an issue, then they'll do it.
And you need to let people stay on there for a number of
episodes to grow a bit of
because otherwise you'd start to bring in the fear of I don't want to do something just for £200 because, are they out once they do it? No, I think they should be allowed to keep doing it. I think you give them a week. Get the same batch of people on for the whole season or something, where you just have 50 people and you get to know them as characters. But then I suppose you risk just having the same fella just doing it for £50 every time.
Yeah, well that's it though. He could be like Dirty Bob who just does everything for £50.
It kind of spoils the show a bit. Perhaps we do have to take them out of it once.
But maybe they could have like a limit where if everyone stays in, then they all have to do it.
Yeah, and then they can all get then it goes down to a penny, and they all get a penny for licking the badger, or whatever it is they're going to be doing. But yeah, you could, if I was on Badger Looking Live, I reckon to lick a dead badger, and this was the other thing that me and my dad were talking about. Which one would you need more money to do, lick a dead badger or a live badger? And what about a recently dead badger or a badger that's been dead a month? Where do they? And we agreed between us that you'd be most willing to lick a badger that's just died, as long as it didn't die of some horrible disease that you could catch by licking it.
I don't know though, because you could. I've seen people holding badgers. So you could just
replace badger for wolf.
Wolf, but again, you've seen people tame wolves.
Yeah, let's assume they're not tame.
I don't know, but you can still wrestle it or knock it out. I don't know.
What, then lick it? Well, if you knock it out, it doesn't count. It has to be a conscious badger.
Well, how are they getting it to you?
A tame badger. I don't know.
If someone's bringing a badger out in a cage, I don't mind sort of holding its head down and giving it a quick lick.
But then would you get more licking certain parts of the badger? If you're licking it on the face, do you get more than if you lick it on the back?
I don't know.
But, if I was on that show, I reckon 10 grand I'm licking a badger, dead or alive.
Yeah, definitely.
If you went to 9,500 now, I'd probably drop to 9,000. I'm not sure where my bottom is.
I'm not really, because it's hard, isn't it? Because you sort of think, well, £1,000 I'd be kind of thinking, I could just do a month's work.
I don't know if I'd do it for £1,000.
£2,000 I'm sort of suddenly thinking, that's 2 months worth of work there. Well, not a bit less, but, it's kind of like, I don't know.
I'd want significant money.
Yeah.
But getting back to the question of for £1 million, yeah, I'll do whatever you want to that badger as long as I'm not going to jail for it. As long as he's not going to kill me. I don't care. I'll wear that badger.
I think I just want to draw the line at anything that was going to haunt me forever.
Well, that's where I think...
Like killing someone or going to jail.
Yeah, the going to jail and dying. I'm pretty sure that rules out anything you'd be morally opposed to doing as well, doesn't it?
There's a lot... Yeah.
Because anything that's bad, you'd go to jail for, or you'd die doing it. Or someone would kill you for doing it. Yeah. So if it's something that isn't illegal, I'm pretty comfortable.
I can't think of anything that someone would make me do.
I think the things I'd be less likely to do, fairly tame things that people sometimes do for fun. I'm not sure. I think I'd lick a badger for 10 grand. I'm not sure I'd bungee jump for 10 grand.
I'd bungee jump for less.
I'm not sure I would.
But I
wouldn't. Think that would.
Do you know what? I've started to overcome the whole thing about fearing. I get scared of stuff, but then I just do it anyway.
Burst into tears on your way upstairs.
No, but I think now I would be less inclined to get upset.
Are we going back to Boston 5 years later? Revisit the stump.
I don't know. Part of me feels like it was foolish. You had to kind of lay against the wall to get along it. So it seemed like a bad idea from that perspective. The stump didn't seem very safe.
I never would have gone up there by myself. I only went up there because you couldn't. That's the only thing that got me to the top of that thing. And I tell you what, standing on the top of that was one of the worst experiences of my life. Yeah. But then I suppose I did that for free. So...
Yeah, no, you did that to make me look like a fool, which is priceless, to be fair.
Suppose. Yeah, if you hadn't been there, I wouldn't have done it.
I was quite scared today. I was doing a driving lesson and I had to pull out onto a dual carriageway, and I started to think, right, I need to get up to 60 or 70 now, and I've never driven that fast before. And I was, for a split second, I thought, I don't feel comfortable with this. And I just jammed my foot down, and before I knew it, I was doing 75, and I had to slow down. And I was quite pleased with myself then, because I was petrified the whole time.
Before you know it, you'll be going Peterborough to Brighton in an hour and a half, like the best of us.
But yeah, that was interesting because I was genuinely, as I was pulling out of the road, I was thinking, oh God, I don't like the look at this. This is awful. This is going to be horrible. I'm going to die. And then before I knew it, as I say, I was whizzing along the road, thinking,
What about punching a shark in the face?
Easy. I'd do that for 500 quid. Probably do that for free. Sharks, damn it. They just get my goat now.
There must be something you wouldn't do. What about jumping out of a plane?
See, that would scare me, but I think if the money was right...
So, yeah, where's the money right? Would you do it for 500 quid, are you jumping out of a plane?
You know, I think already I'd be thinking, well, why not?
Because you might die?
Yeah, but I probably won't. People don't really die from it.
I think we should scrap this podcast and bring Badger Licking Live out as a podcast and get people to... All we need is a rich benefactor to give us the money.
You're forgetting the fact that we need £1 million.
Yeah, when people are phoning in and we're saying, look, come on, you're 300 quid, race that train.
One thing that I can't really see a way around is what's the point of starting at £1 million? Because no one's ever going to win $1 million.
Oh, someone might.
How?
I don't know. It could be.
Would you give them an option to all back out straight away before the money's even mentioned?
Maybe.
Like they won't do it for $1 million, so they all back out, and then you say $1 million.
Yeah.
So if you're the only person, so you've got to hope that you get a blackout while you're the only person in.
Because you could. It depends how evil you want to be with it as the producer of the show. You could say something like, "Have no contact with your children for the next 10 years," and just be horrible about it. There you go, £1 million quid. But you don't get to see your kids until their 18th birthday. There you go. We found the line.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Fantastic.
Be able to do that.
Okay, a year without them for £1 million quid.
I'd have to look at my wife. She has to be sitting in the audience and have to make eye contact with her.
See, I reckon I could get away with that because my kids would say, Dad, it's £1 million quid. Whereas because yours are smaller, you'd have less chance of getting away with that one. But I'm pretty sure if I turned that down, my kids would kill me.
But the thing is as well, though, your kids would kind of acknowledge that you were gone for a year, whereas my son wouldn't really notice. And my daughter would just be sad for about a day, and then that'd be it.
Because then the money man would come home.
Want to get every episode of We're From The Internet at least a day earlier than the iTunes and Stitcher folk? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/pledge to support us on Patreon, and as well as early access, we'll throw in an exclusive weekly show just for our patrons too.